So let's go back to our script. So let's go to our create mesh function. So this is going to return a mesh that another script can use to populate a mesh filter. So first things first, let's create a new object of the type mesh. What we want to do with this mesh is populate it with data from the lists that we've populated in the add triangle function. So first, we fill the mesh.vertices. So it's as simple as mesh.vertices equals vertices.toArray. So what that's doing is it's just filling in the points on the mesh. We also need to fill in the triangle indices. And again, it's very simple. Mesh.triangles equals indices.toArray. Same for the normals. And the mesh UVs. After this is done, we can just return the mesh. That's the basics, but we also want to be using submeshes so we can control things like materials easily. So we'll need to add just a little bit more code. So again, we just need to populate the mesh data. So we need to tell the mesh how many submeshes there are. And we can do that like this. Mesh.submeshCount equals submeshindices.length. We need to use a function on mesh called setTriangles. SetTriangles assigns triangles to a submesh. Again, this works exactly the same way as mesh.triangles, but we can assign a material to it. So let's create a little for loop. So this is going to go over the amount of submeshes that we create. We'll also check if there isn't enough indices in a submesh for a triangle. So if not, we're just going to create a dummy triangle so Unity doesn't spit out any errors. Otherwise, we'll just set triangles from the submesh indices list we created. One last thing that we'll need to do is create a constructor for Mesh Builder. We'll add a parameter into Mesh Builder for submesh count. And that'll be an int. And we'll set up our submesh indices array and list with the submesh count that's passed in. And also initialize the array of lists for these submesh indices. So with that done, we've got one more thing to do. Now, suppose we want to call build triangle, but we don't really care about the normal. So what we'll do is we'll create another build triangle function, and we'll remove the normal from the parameters, and we'll construct one within the function. So if we create a vector 3 normal, and what we're going to do with that is we'll construct a new normal using P0, P1 and P2. So for that we'll use vector3.cross and we'll pass in P1 minus P0 and then P2 minus P0, and then we'll normalize that and we'll call build triangle, and that will just create a generic outwards pointing normal. And with that we're ready to use our mesh builder. So look forward to the next lesson.